For centuries, Brazil bore the weight of Portuguese colonialism. Since Pedro Álvares Cabral's arrival in 1500, this vast South American land became a prized possession of the Portuguese crown. The discovery of gold and the booming sugar trade further solidified Portugal's grip on Brazil. Life in colonial Brazil was a study in contrasts. While the Portuguese elite enjoyed privilege and power, the indigenous populations and enslaved Africans faced oppression and hardship. Millions of Africans were forcibly brought to Brazil as slaves, enduring unimaginable cruelty on sugar plantations and in gold mines. Despite the oppressive system, Brazilian society developed its own unique character. A blend of indigenous, European and African influences found expression in music, art and social customs. This fusion of cultures laid the foundation for a distinctly Brazilian identity, yet the desire for self-determination simmered beneath the surface. Local elites, born and raised in Brazil, yearned for greater autonomy and chafed under the restrictions imposed by Lisbon. As the 18th century drew to a close, these feelings of resentment intensified, fueled by the winds of change sweeping across Europe and the Americas. The Napoleonic Wars, which engulfed Europe in the early 19th century, had a profound impact on Brazil's destiny. In 1807, Napoleon's forces threatened to overrun Portugal, prompting a momentous decision by the Portuguese royal family. Fearing for their safety, the Portuguese court fled Lisbon for Brazil, their largest and most prosperous colony. The arrival of the Portuguese court in Rio de Janeiro in 1808 was a watershed moment in Brazilian history. For the first time, a European monarch set foot on Brazilian soil, shifting the center of the Portuguese Empire to the Americas. Brazil's status was immediately elevated from colony to kingdom, placing it on equal footing with Portugal. Dom João VI, the Portuguese regent, opened Brazilian ports to friendly nations, ending Portugal's long-standing trade monopoly. This move had significant economic implications, fostering trade and development within Brazil. The arrival of the court also brought about a cultural and intellectual awakening in Brazil. In the heart of this historical drama stood Dom Pedro, Prince of Portugal and heir to the Portuguese throne. Arriving in Brazil as a young man, Dom Pedro found himself at the center of a brewing storm, torn between loyalty to his father, King João VI, and the growing calls for Brazilian independence. Dom Pedro faced a pivotal choice. As the clamor for independence grew louder, Dom Pedro found himself increasingly at odds with the Portuguese Cortes, the legislative assembly in Lisbon. The Cortes, seeking to reassert control over Brazil, demanded Dom Pedro's return to Portugal. This demand was met with fierce resistance in Brazil. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, Dom Pedro made a fateful decision. On January 9th, 1822, he defied the Cortes' orders to return to Portugal, famously declaring, "Fico, I remain." This singular word became a rallying cry for those who yearned for independence. The Fico Declaration escalated tensions between Brazil and Portugal. The stage was set for a showdown that would determine the destiny of a nation. In the early 19th century, a wave of independence movements swept across Latin America. Brazil was no exception. On September 7th, 1822, Prince Dom Pedro I declared Brazil's independence from Portugal. This momentous event marked the birth of a new nation, free from colonial rule. The aftermath of Brazil's independence was filled with challenges and opportunities. The young nation had to navigate political instability, economic struggles, and social changes. However, the spirit of independence fostered a sense of national identity and pride. Over time, Brazil grew into a vibrant and diverse country with a rich cultural heritage that continues to influence the world today. Please subscribe to our channel for more historical content.